Welcome to the Paranormal Bible Podcast.
Yes, welcome.
This week, we're going to do a paranormal probe. We're going to look into two really unsettling flash fiction stories that deal with dreams and a silent world beyond ours. I think what's so cool about this week is we're taking these stories that are very short, and we're really diving deep into what makes them tick, what makes them scary, and hopefully we'll uncover some unexpected insights into fear and reality along the way. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think these flash fiction stories, they're more than just spooky bedtime stories, right? And they do a really good job of sort of packing a lot of punch in a very short amount of space. And I think these two in particular really highlight how powerful that can be.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like a good way to put it. So our first paranormal probe is going to take us into the story Dream Thief. And right away, we meet this guy, Alex Morgan, who is having these super bizarre and persistent dreams. And what makes these dreams different from just regular bad nightmares is that they seem to be connected to this doctor, Dr. Evelyn Price. And she believes that his case, what's happening to him, is actually linked to other people who are experiencing this very strange phenomenon that she calls blankness. And, you mentioned before how much you appreciate those aha moments in stories. And let me tell you, this one has got them in spades. So as we go through this, we're going to try to unpack what it means to have your dreams stolen and, what are the terrifying implications of that.
I mean, one of the most immediately striking things about Dream Thief is that idea of a widespread dream deficit, right? It's like this societal blankness, and it's such an unsettling premise because it really makes you think about what does it mean if our dreams, these deeply personal, seemingly private experiences can be targeted collectively, even erased. And then we have Alex, whose dreams aren't just blank, they're vividly invaded, right?
Yeah.
It's that contrast that really draws us into this much stranger mystery.
Yeah, and it's not just vague, forgettable dreams either, right?
Yeah.
They're increasingly disturbing to the point where it's, where does the dream world end and reality begin? And he even wakes up with this physical mark like it's bleeding over. That leads him to Dr. Price, who's using some pretty unconventional methods, including this high-tech setup to delve into lucid dreaming within the Dream Thief's own domain. And as we explore this further, I really want us to pay attention to the descriptions of this dreamscape. I mean, you have these monstrous eyes, grasping roots, this feeling that the normal rules just don't apply.
The physical manifestation of a dream, I mean, that bruise Alex wakes up with, is such a potent symbol of the story's core unease, right?
Yeah.
The boundary between our inner world and external reality is somehow permeable. It's a classic horror motif, but it really works here to ground the more fantastical elements. And then you have Dr. Price's approach, which is this almost audacious use of technology to infiltrate the dream. It just amplifies the sense of risk and the potential for encountering the truly unknown. And that description of the Dream Thief's domain, I mean, it sticks with you, doesn't it? It's like a landscape of pure subconscious dread.
Yeah, absolutely. And the story really kicks into high gear when Alex decides, okay, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm going to fight back. And he starts to manipulate the environment within his dreams. He turns vines to ice. He summons sunlight. And this raises all sorts of questions about the Dream Thief itself. Is it an external entity? Or is it drawing its power from the dreamers themselves? And then despite its menacing presence, it shows these surprising vulnerabilities. The story then builds to this really risky plan where they're going to use Alex's own, you could say, scarred mind as a trap to destroy the entity. And this definitely raises some questions about the cost of victory, not just for Alex, but also, it makes you wonder about Dr. Price and her motivations, her interest in all that.
Oh, yeah, her obsession almost.
Totally, yeah. Her obsession with the paranormal, what's driving her?
It's like she's almost rooting for the Dream Thief in a way, isn't she?
In a way, yeah. It's a little creepy, but that moment when Alex starts to actually take control, like exert his will in this dreamscape, I mean, it's fascinating because it suggests that even in our most vulnerable state, even when we're sleeping, there's this potential for agency, like an internal resilience. And the Dream Thief's goal, it does seem to be parasitic, right? It wants to feed on these dream realities. But then when Alex fights back, its reaction suggests that it's not all powerful. It can be wounded by the very energy it's trying to consume. And that idea of using Alex's trauma, his scarred mind as a weapon, that's a really compelling and unsettling twist. It raises the question, can our vulnerabilities sometimes be our greatest strengths? But yeah, Dr. Price, her motivations, they're definitely murky. It's one of the things that sticks with you after the story's over.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so now we're going to shift gears a lot actually, to our second paranormal probe. And this one is the story Dead End. which takes us into a totally different but equally unsettling scenario.
In this story, Alex wakes up and he's in this silent, ghostly city, and it seems like he's the last living human. And this tale, it really plays with the idea of isolation and the uncanny. If when you experience this eerie reality through Alex's eyes and through the spectral beings that he encounters.
Yeah, and Dead End, it really does provide such a stark contrast to the more dream-based terror of Dream Thief. The overwhelming sense here is one of profound loneliness and this eerie stillness, like a world that's frozen in time. The deserted city itself almost becomes a character reflecting Alex's isolation. And experiencing it through his eyes, his initial confusion, and then the slow dawning realization of his terrifying predicament, it really draws you in.
Yeah, totally. And the story gives us these really specific and unsettling details about this abandoned world. The frozen car wreck, the half-finished cup of coffee in a deserted shop, these faint spectral whispers. And then he meets Sarah, somebody he knew before, but now she's a translucent ghost.
Yeah.
And it's that encounter that really solidifies his isolation. But here's where it gets really interesting. So he's this other spirit, Eleanor, who's more solid, more knowledgeable, and she reveals this impossible truth that Alex's accident, his near-fatal accident, didn't just almost kill him. It somehow tore a veil, making him this living anomaly that's actually sustaining this entire spectral plane.
I know. It's like, whoa, and those details you mentioned, the frozen moments, the echoes of everyday life that are just suddenly cut short, they really amplify that feeling of unnatural stillness. And encountering Sarah as someone familiar, existing in this spectral state, it personalizes the catastrophe for Alex, and it makes it tangible for us as readers, And then Eleanor's explanation for Alex's survival, that his accident fractured the barrier between worlds, essentially making him a living anchor for the spectral realm. That's a major turning point. It shifts the story from just a survival narrative to something with much larger, almost cosmic implications.
Right, and it completely changes the stakes. And so this revelation leads into this group called the Resistance. It's a group of more sentient ghosts, and they're led by Eleanor and this pragmatic spirit named Marcus. And we learn that their existence is completely tied to Alex's life force. And there's this even darker, more powerful entity looming, this being called the Collector. And this is where the so what really hits home, right? Because Alex isn't just a survivor. He's a vital and very much targeted element in this entire spectral ecosystem. So what do you think about that?
Oh, it's a huge shift in perspective, isn't it? You go from, oh, I'm the last living person to, oh, I'm actually the linchpin for this entire other world. And the introduction of this ghost community with its own social structures, its leadership, it adds a whole new fascinating layer to the story. Their dependence on Alex immediately creates this sense of shared fate, right? And it raises these really interesting ethical questions about his role in all of this. And then, of course, the emergence of the Collector as this malevolent force injects a whole new level of threat and urgency. Alex isn't just trying to understand his situation anymore. He's central to this potential conflict that could determine the survival of this whole spectral society.
Yeah, and as the Collector's influence grows, the tension really ratchets up. The ghosts, including Alex, they have to prepare to fight back. So we see Alex undergoing this training to learn how to manipulate the spectral plane, how to interact with this new reality. And their plan, which is pretty desperate, is to lure out and confront the Collector. But there's a twist, right? When they seek sanctuary in this abandoned monastery, they uncover a hidden truth about Alex's connection to this spectral world. It turns out that his survival came at a cost. There was this tragic exchange in his past that explains why he's in this situation, why the Collector is so relentless in pursuing him.
Oh man, that reveal it's just heartbreaking, isn't it? It adds such a personal layer of tragedy to the larger conflict. And, Alex's training, his willingness to learn how to interact with the spectral plane, it shows his growing acceptance of and agency within this bizarre reality. And then the Resistance's determination to confront the Collector despite their own precarious existence, it underscores their resilience and, their investment in Alex's survival. But then that revelation in the sanctuary that his survival came at the cost of another spirit who's now tied to this realm and is the object of the Collector's desire, it explains so much. It explains the Collector's single-mindedness, his focus on Alex. But it's a heavy truth to bear, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's heavy. It all leads to this climactic confrontation, this battle of wills and illusions within the crumbling monastery. And Alex finally faces the Collector, armed with this devastating knowledge of his past. And we see the resolution. The spectral community fades, and Alex returns to the world of the living. But he's forever changed by what he's experienced. And it makes you think about this delicate balance that exists between these realms, these different realities, and the profound sacrifices that have been made.
Yeah, it's like the The natural order has been disrupted, and even though things are kind of set right, the echoes of that disruption remain. The final confrontation isn't just a physical battle, it's a psychological one, with Alex wielding the truth of his past as a weapon. And the fading of the ghost community after the Collector's defeat highlights this symbiotic link that they had with Alex, right? The disruption caused by tearing the veil has been repaired, but there are consequences. And Alex's return to the living world, while it's a positive outcome in a way, it's undoubtedly marked by loss and this profound understanding of the interconnectedness of these realities. It really does make you think about all those unseen threads that might be connecting us to other dimensions, We just don't even realize it.
It's like there's so much more to reality than we can even perceive. So what does this all mean? I mean, these two paranormal probes into these flash fiction stories, Dream Thief and Dead End, they offer these really compelling, albeit fictional, glimpses into these unsettling intersections of dreams and reality and the spectral unknown. In Dream Thief, we witness the terrifying possibility of our most private inner worlds being invaded and this incredible resilience of the human mind when it's pushed to its absolute limits. What about you? What are your big takeaways?
Well, I think in Dead End, that silence, that profound silence, it speaks volumes about loneliness, doesn't it? And about these unexpected connections that we can forge in the strangest of circumstances, and the impact that a single life can have, even on a realm beyond our own. It's pretty mind-blowing. And the revelation of that life-altering exchange, that bargain that was made, it really forces us to consider what price would any of us be willing to pay, knowingly or unknowingly, for a second chance at life? It's a big question.
It is a big question. And these stories, while they're definitely fiction, they tap into this primal fascination that we have with the mysteries that might lie just beyond the edges of our perception. And I think what makes them so effective is they present these fantastical scenarios with these really relatable emotional cores. Fear, hope, the will to survive against impossible odds.
Absolutely. And, for me, what really resonated was the sense of responsibility, right? In Dead End, the weight of Alex's unexpected responsibility for this whole other world, it's like, what would you do if you were suddenly thrust into that kind of situation? It's pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess the big question that I want to leave our listeners with is, what stands out most to you from these paranormal probes? Was it the idea of having your dreams stolen, of being violated in that way? Or was it that feeling of being utterly alone in a world of ghosts? Which one resonated more deeply with you?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, they both tap into pretty primal fears, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that leads to this even bigger question, this more philosophical question. What if the boundaries between our conscious and unconscious worlds, or even between the living and the departed, were actually as thin and permeable as these stories suggest? What would that mean for our understanding of reality itself?
Whoa, that's deep. It's almost like, what if everything we thought we knew was wrong?
Right. It's like, what if the things we dismiss as fantasy or imagination are actually just glimpses into other layers of reality that we're not normally tuned into?
Man, now I'm going to be thinking about that all week.
Me too, probably. But on that note, we're going to have to wrap things up. So thank you so much for joining us for this week's Paranormal Bible Podcast. We hope these paranormal probes have sparked your imagination and maybe left you with a chilling question or two to ponder. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate and follow the show for more captivating stories from the Paranormal Bible.
And sweet dreams, everyone.
Yeah, sweet dreams.